Worst Santa present ever.
It is, if you're listening right now, this is Christmas Eve in the evening. What do you think they're doing right now?
They're probably fed up with their families.
Yeah, by this point, yeah.
And now you want to spend it with us.
Yeah, and there's none. The liquor stores are closed, but this episode just came out.
Is the liquor store that closed on Christmas Eve?
I imagine that there's, I think 11.
Oh, no, I think that's a 6 p.m. close.
That's when you make your mad dash for it. I know, because that's what you need a wheelchair pass for.
So if you're wondering what this episode is, I wanted to do a bonus episode for Christmas and to come out on Christmas Eve, and usually we take all of December off to recharge and reflect, but I said let's do one more.
To stand in line at Rogers.
Yeah, to get your 10. I hope you're listening to this with your 10 gigabytes of data a month.
I got mine.
This is a bonus episode, or it's a special episode, and we wanted to give you a Christmas present, and there's but it's not so much a present, but like a lump of coal. This is an episode devoted to one specific time in the history of the Vancouver Canucks. So we want to wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and a safe and Happy New Year. And we hope you enjoy your present. And that's an entire podcast devoted to Mark Messier's time with your Vancouver Canucks.
We know you wanted a hippopotamus for Christmas, but instead we're giving you the moose.
Oh, we get a lot of shots. Everybody come to the net. We just have to get more and more pucks to the net.
What were you saying about putting pucks on net?
Get pucks on net.
Continue to put pucks on net.
Well, that's the key. We got to get the puck on net.
Pucks on net.
Pucks on net.
We used to talk about in Vancouver getting pucks on net.
Pucks on net and driving and making it a hard night on them.
Live on tape from, once again, Geeta's apartment, her palatial estate, in the 23rd floor. On the 23rd floor, this is Pucks on Net, a Vancouver hockey podcast. Doesn't talk about fantasy or fancy stats.
Welcome, guys.
Yeah, this is a very special Christmas episode, as opposed to our Christmas party episode. I wanted to put something out on Christmas Day for all you, and what better present to hear at the most happiest time of year, but then Mark Messier when he is a Vancouver Canuck. I'll be your Christmas, your festive, your moose host, Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
And who are you?
I'm Geeta.
What are you drinking?
I'm serving up eggnog.
I thought it was
that's
Apothic.
a lie. It's actually Apothic Red tonight, for reals.
And caught up in the stresses of Christmas are Dave and PMAX, so our lovable Black Ace. Cole, you making your appearance once again.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, always a pleasure, never a chore. First off, I want to thank you for joining us wherever you got us from. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at PucksNetCA or PucksNetCa. And if you want to support the show monetarily, and if you you can head on over to patreon.com/PucksOnEd, and you can pledge a couple of bucks. And you can listen to our bonus content. Geeta's hosted Broads on Net after the Pucks on Net Christmas party, the 5th annual.
I don't think there's much demand for a second episode.
Of Broads on Net? Oh, it's good stuff. It was just...
it was quite anti-Ryan, which I have to say, big fan.
So if you are anti-Ryan or pro-Geeta or pro-Broads on Net, patreon.com, that episode's only $1. So most of our bonus content on Patreon's $5. That one's only $1, and it's it's a bargain, as the kids say. I got a text from PMAC earlier because I was saying maybe he could Skype in.
Right.
And he says, I'm running around trying to do some Christmas shopping, and I haven't done the homework I'd like to do if we're crucifying mess properly.
We can do it again.
So I just like that PMAC says he doesn't want to do this unless he's really got the book to throw at him.
Sure.
And ruin, and just really have that case against him.
How much are you going to charge Mark Messier to listen to this episode?
$46. The Moose can afford it. He's got $18 million from the Canucks. The idea for this episode came out
months ago.
Months ago when somebody tweeted it was his handwritten proposal of contract to the Canucks, and it's fascinating. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit, but the NHL in the 90s was a very different time, and especially in Vancouver, and they kind of needed a shiny superstar for their new team with their new weird whale jerseys and their new building, new ownership. They wanted something, and they tried to go after Wayne Gretzky, but that didn't happen.
Yeah. Rumor has it that Wayne had a contract verbal with Pat Quinn.
Right.
And then Pat was like, "Yep, sweet, we got Wayne." And I don't know
because he was playing and he'd done his deadline stint in St. Louis.
Yeah, he had
Right.
done his 4 months in Missouri, and then he was free.
Okay.
And apparently they were supposed to try and get his autograph at midnight. And
what
Wayne
happened?
came back and said, "If my word's not good enough, I'm done."
Oh.
And he bounced it to New York to play with this
That's
pal
the
Matt.
rumor.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
It's a good rumor. I think it's more or less been, confirmed, but he decided to go to New York and play with his pal Mess.
Right.
I've heard it from people that I trust, but it is
I heard it from-
unverified.
I heard it from somebody I trust, and that's Cole, so it's got to be true.
Right.
There you go. So that's how the game of telephone works. Right there.
And he read it on the internet, so it's got to be true.
I also heard a little rumor that we're
he's-
getting Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves tomorrow.
I was like, what, on this podcast?
On Christmas Day?
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry,
They're coming
we're,
out.
we're replacing Dave and Paul.
With Kane and Taves? That's a controversial... Yeah, actually...
We'd make that move. Sorry.
I think that's like a replacement.
Sorry.
You wouldn't even be allowed to be mad if that happened to you.
I don't know how captivating they are.
Good question.
Like-
we know Jonathan Taves isn't captivating.
Maybe Kaner could pick up the Dave slack.
Could you imagine if Kane all he wanted to do was talk about his fantasy points?
Then he would... Didn't
And
he
then
hear the
you wouldn't be
intro?
allowed on the podcast. Sorry, Kaner, we don't talk about that.
Like his own fantasy stats.
Yeah, exactly. I scored 13 points last night. No, you didn't.
I am surprisingly good in face-offs. I always get brought in when
My
they
pl-
get thrown out.
My
You gotta
plus
pick-
minus is off the charts. Joel Quinville loves me.
So Wayne Gretzky goes to New York in
Right.
fall of...
So there's a big, giant, moose-sized hole down the middle in Vancouver.
Yeah, and Geeta, what was the world like in the summer of 1997?
So, I hope you put some 1997 music under this.
Okay.
Like I want Notorious B.I.G., who was killed that year.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, I was thinking Ace of Base.
Let me brush you up. Let me set the scene. It's 1997. Hong Kong has just been returned back to China
Well, why aren't we doing a podcast about that?
from British rule. Princess Diana died that summer.
That's
This
pretty
is a
sad.
really happy podcast.
She means a lot to Ryan and I.
Yeah, it's a good insult. If you're being too fancy, I say, oh, didn't know we got Princess Di over here. Apothic Red. Jesus, didn't know Princess Di was here.
In 1997, Tiger Woods won his first Masters.
Mm-hmm.
The very first Harry Potter was published.
Which one was that?
The Philosopher's Stone.
Oh, okay.
And the Sorcerer's Stone for our American listeners.
Oh.
Yeah. The Backstreet Boys released their second album, and everybody was all over the radio and Much Music.
Mm-hmm.
And in sports, this will be my transition. The Packers won the Super Bowl that year, and the Bulls won the NBA championships again.
They always won it, though.
Yeah. And the Marlins won that year, too.
If you have to guess NBA champion in the 90s at any point, it's the Chicago Bulls.
Oh, I'm going to go with the Bulls.
Really going out on a limb.
Now, 96-97 was the 80th regular season for the NHL. Stanley Cup champions were the Detroit Red Wings, who swept the Philadelphia Flyers for their first cup in 42 years.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's back when Lindros could still spell his name.
That was the Legion of Doom.
That's correct. The Colorado Avalanche,
Colorado.
thank you,
Like to buy a vowel.
were the President's Cup champs in their second season in the Mile High City.
That's correct.
Dominic Hasek was the league MVP.
Did he win the Vezina that year, too?
He did, in fact, win the Vezina that year. So he won both the Hart and the Vezina that year.
So there's some pretty damn...
The Conn Smythe that year. Oh, no, never mind. That's not a fun fact. I take it back.
Why? Who won the Conn Smythe?
Oh, that was Mike Vernon.
Yeah. There's something fun about that.
No, that's nothing fun about that at all. That's why I take it back. I retract. But I feel like that was also the start of the Colorado-Detroit rivalry.
Yeah, well, it was in the middle of it because it started in the 96, I believe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when Claude Lemieux
Where
pasted that guy. Right?
Yeah, he did the handshake line in the T-shirt, and Dino Cicerelli couldn't believe he shook that guy's friggin' hand.
Correct. Speaking of Lemieux, Mario Lemieux was
The better of the Lemieuxes.
was the top scorer that year with 50 goals and 122 points. Only 2 players that year topped 100 points. The other being
Pavel Bure?
No.
Oh.
You want to guess?
Alexander McGillney?
No. I don't even know where McGillney was playing that year.
Vancouver.
Oh, had he already been traded? Well,
it be
Mike Pekka won the Selke that year.
Really?
Was it Lindros that got 100 points?
No, it was Timo Solani.
Oh. Was that would be he would be in Anaheim at that
He
point.
would have been in Anaheim. Yeah. Also, the Boston Bruins missed the playoffs for the first time in 29 years.
Take that, Ray.
And
Pardon?
who was drafted that year?
Wait, I'm not there yet.
Oh, sorry.
This was the first season for the Phoenix Coyotes.
With the peyote coyote uniform, was Jeremy Roenick there?
Not yet.
No, right? Yeah.
Absolutely amazing uniforms.
They're playing for those who don't remember, they're playing in a basketball stadium, and the upper deck hung over the goalie, much like it does in Brooklyn now.
Those jerseys are the pug equivalent of hockey uniforms. They are so ugly that they're awesome.
They are, yeah. They had a few variants that were ugly, but the
Yeah.
original one with the desert trim and everything,
Yeah.
it's just
That was
It's
the
some-
ugliest.
it's so goddamn 90s.
Speaking of ugly, this was the
Mike,
last.
what about Mike Ricci?
This was the last season for the Hartford Whalers, who moved to Carolina.
Heartbreaking.
That was, yeah, both those moves.
Yeah.
The one redeeming quality of the Phoenix Coyotes, I swear we're going to talk about Mark Messier.
Yeah, eventually.
But the one redeeming quality I remember of the Coyotes is they made the playoffs in those early years, and the fans brought along the whiteout with them from Winnipeg.
Yes, that was very exciting.
Yeah.
Phoenix did make the playoffs that year.
Yeah, they were a half decent team. Perfect time to move them right to Winnipeg.
This was also the last season that the last player to play without a helmet retired.
Craig McTavish.
Correct?
Mac T, he actually got invited to the All-Star game that year from Gary Bettman, personally invited him to play, which goes to show how important the All-Star game is.
The Canucks missed the playoffs that year. It was the first time they missed the playoffs in, I assume one of you guys would have had this fun fact.
Late 80s, it's got to be. 89 maybe? No, it must have been 88. But I don't know. Don't quote
I'd
me on
guess
that.
88.
Yeah, because 89 was the year that Joel Otto kicked it in.
Speaking of 88, Trevor Linden won the King Clancy Memorial Trophy. Can one of you tell our listeners what that trophy is for?
Is that Canucks MVP?
No.
Overall nice guy.
That's it. It's for leadership off ice and humanitarian-ish stuff.
I was being sarcastic.
Overall nice guy.
Well, that's the thing. I went through the list of the NHL awards, and I'm like, there's not one sexy winner. Like Brian Berard won the Calder.
It was a weird year, and I went through UFA signings, and it seemed everybody was on lockdown. It's like the Canucks wanted Gretz the year before, and they got saddled with, well, Moose is available this year. Why not? It's kind of like when the Bruins selected Matt Bolesky or a couple of years ago. Well, we'll take him.
Everybody was just kind of resigned. It was very passive.
Yeah.
This was the first season in the league for Todd Bertuzzi.
Really?
Yeah.
In that Fisherman's Friend uniform.
Mm.
We'll talk about him a bit later.
No, the Highliner.
Highliner, sorry.
That's
yes.
right.
Such a good jersey.
NHL 97 cover. You want to guess who was on that? I'll give you a hint.
I
It
know.
was a goalie.
I got
It's John Van Beesbrook.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You're not going to ask a bunch of guys that.
Damn it. Oh,
Turned out to be a racist. Fun fact.
Really?
Yeah, Trevor Daley called him the N-bomb
all
in
right.
junior hockey.
Speaking of junior hockey,
Oh.
What a tie-in.
the Hull Olympic won the Memorial Cup.
Okay. Who was on that team?
No,
Memorial Cup
I
champions.
I didn't go down that deep of a dive.
How hockey DB did you get? Not that.
That's a fun little thing for me to do later.
They missed the playoffs in 1990. The Canucks did.
Okay.
89-90.
The NHL draft was held in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm. In the Igloo.
That's right. Top 5 picks.
Joe Thornton.
Joe Thornton.
Patrick Marleau.
Mm-hmm.
Ole
forever changing the landscape of the San Jose Sharks and the history of the NHL.
And then forever traded every year was Ole Jokinen
That's right.
for L.A. Fourth, I don't know.
Roberto Luongo went to the New York Islanders, followed by Eric Brewer straight from Prince George.
That's a pretty good top five. Well,
Yeah, to the Islanders. The Canucks that year drafted.
Matthias Olin.
No.
What?
They drafted Brad Ferentz.
Oh.
And you know who they left on the board?
Who?
Marian Hossa, who always wins the Stanley Cup.
Well, he used to always lose the Stanley Cup.
Oh, but he'd always get there.
It's not how you start, it's how you finish. He's got a lot of diamonds now. Way to go, loser. You never used to win it. Yeah, well, I win it now, so what?
And last fun fact, the Canadian World Juniors won their 5th championship in a row. That team featured one Peter Schaefer, and it was a long time before they won another gold.
That's true. It was like 04 or 05, I think. Was it the Sydney year when they finally won it?
I feel like that. Sydney Getzlaff.
So you got an interesting NHL. It seems like a bit of a transition phase. You know, people argue that the best Stanley Cup final in of the 90s or in a long time was that Canucks Rangers one. It was very exciting. The game got slower. Teams we love.
That was such an exciting final, and then it was followed up by New Jersey winning.
Yeah,
in
and-
a lockout season.
Yes.
So you lost momentum.
We lost momentum. The hockey was getting boring. Lovable teams that we, the Hartford Whalers, the Winnipeg Jets, the Nordiques, they were all moving. It was the beginning of us being disenfranchised with Gary Bettman. We didn't, he didn't seem like he had the best interests for Canada in mind, and he was looking to create that Mighty Ducks buzz down south.
Right.
And we were really starting to get worried. And then you had the Canucks, who captivated all our hearts in 1994. I don't know if you've heard this. A lot of people don't talk about it, but they went to the Stanley Cup final that year. And they went to Game 7. Did you know this, guys?
This is new to me.
Yeah. So that was the team that we all loved, and they broke our heart. Well, they didn't break our hearts. We knew they weren't.
No, they broke our hearts and our windows.
Yeah. and
To be
then,
fair, I don't think a Vancouver Canuck
No,
broke any window.
no.
no, they were on a plane.
Yeah.
You can't break a window on a plane.
No.
It's pressurized.
Well, you can, but it'd be
Figurative.
very poor. That's a bad life choice. I'm going to smash this window.
Don't do that. If you're listening to this on a plane on Christmas Day, it's pressurized. It's not going to end well.
Don't do that. You can't break those windows.
It's kind of plasticky, too.
They'll stop you.
Don't challenge the listeners.
Don't listen to our podcast in a plane. Maybe that should be the warning.
It'll
On
make you
Christmas
unruly. So the Canucks kind of stayed stagnant. When did Alexander McGillney become a Canuck? Was
In
that
the year after 95. No, yeah.
after the lockout shortened season?
Yeah, after the lockout. So the lockout shortened season was Mike Pekka's rookie year, and then
Right, yeah.
directly after that.
No, Mike Pekka played before that.
95 was his rookie season.
Oh, like he played enough games, right? Yeah, because he had time. He had spent some time with the Canucks before that.
I don't know.
But they kind of kept the team intact for 95, and then 96 they added Alexander McGillney. They tried to add Wayne Gretzky. It didn't work. You had coaching changes. Pat Quinn was removed. Tom Rennie came in. That Rick Lee guy, remember him? He came in for a cup of coffee, and it was they sort of began to paddle upstream. They weren't evolving into the better team. They'd gotten General Motors Place,
Right.
and they basically when
The Queen dropped the puck?
she dropped the puck like 7 years later. But they won the All-Star game. They had new ownership. They had a jersey unveiling. And what did you guys think of the jerseys when they came out?
See, I was like, that's peak fandom for me. So that jersey just has a soft spot in my heart. That 98
It was weird.
When the Ducks and the Canucks played in Japan.
Yeah.
Right.
I was super excited about that.
But like when you saw it unveiled, was it, oh my God, that's amazing? Or
No.
you're like, oh, I can learn to like that.
No,
I liked it.
No, because you know what it followed? It followed those salmon jerseys. Do you remember those?
Oh yeah, the two-tone, which I
Yeah,
secretly
yeah, yeah.
love. Well, no, those came after. Yeah, and that was
There's nothing wrong
it just-
with the salmon jerseys.
But it followed that, and it was just this like bizarre. Like it was change, and I think there was a lot of us who were not ready for change.
and change.
We just wanted to stay in 1994 forever.
We wanted to cheer on lovable Trevor Linden with a broken nose.
Pavel Bure wasn't happy. It was just a very bad time for like. It was a lot of discontent here.
Yes, and what you do when things are at their absolute worst, you remove the team. You remove any history or previous years of the team in their presentation, and you go after the player that broke all our hearts and hopes and dreams to bring him to your team.
Yeah, that's what you do.
That's what you do to make the fan base feel better. He broke Trevor Linden's ribs in Game 6.
Okay, here's the other thing. I was on the other side of the world when that happened. So I don't actually even remember what the city's reaction to it was. It's like, was there excitement?
I was in Calgary and wasn't following the team enough, and I said,
Okay.
"Oh, who's Mark Messier? Oh, he's that jerk from the playoffs.
Yeah.
Should I be excited about this?"
Because I was over there. I felt like I should be excited about it.
I don't know if we were like Cole. Do you remember what fans were like?
Yeah.
I don't remember what fans were like because we were all so young, but
Yeah.
I just remember like people saying it was a big deal that we got Mark Messier. Like before he came to Vancouver, he still had the shine.
Also, because was there not just like this brief hope that we were going to get, Vancouver was going to get Joe Sakic? Because he was a free agent?
Well, that was and they
Like that all happened the exact same time, I feel.
yeah, that was the same time, and that's when he actually got signed to an offer sheet. And that year,
Okay.
Joe Sakic made the largest NHL salary in history. It's something like $19 million, which is amazing to think of now.
Okay.
I always got the sense that when like of the stars in the league at the time, Messier was like fifth, not even like he was like top 10 maybe.
Okay.
Like it
seemed exciting only because he was such a huge star when the Canucks played him.
Yeah, but then you go, well, he beat the Canucks. It's like, but he won all those cups with Gretzky. Well, why don't they get Gretzky?
It'd be the equivalent of us getting Taves right now. Is the way I think about it. Stanley Cup champion, hard to play against. He's going to get you points. But there are other superstars, Crosby, McDavid, Laune, that you would want ahead of him now.
Okay, well, hang on. So, but Taves today is still barely 30.
Yeah.
How old was Messier at that time?
He was 36.
Yeah.
So I think it would be like getting Joe Thornton a couple years ago.
Okay, that's more fair. Except Joe Thornton doesn't win Stanley
You make a
Cups.
good point. It'd be 6 years down the road where we got Jonathan Taves. You saw what he used to do. He could do that here.
That's exactly what
Yeah.
it is.
Okay.
So it's like an older Jonathan Taves. And
It's us signing Taves in 2023.
don't put that idea in anybody's head. So his contract came out. It was this came out this year, and it was a handwritten proposal. And there's so much in this that I just absolutely love. The first thing we would like to say is that it says in U.S. dollars.
Okay, because that was a new thing then.
No, but if you think about it, the Canucks tried to screw over Pavel Bure with Canadian dollars.
I recall all this.
Yeah, so if you're Mark Messier, you're going, let's make sure that we know what kind of money we're getting.
But here's what I meant. I'm like, at that time, we were all really young. Like, the idea of getting paid in U.S. dollars, like it was new. And it seemed like a really big deal.
Well, especially that time because how bad the dollar was. Like,
right.
And that's why teams were moving. And so you would think about, like, oh, my God, they're going to have to pay him in U.S. dollars. Wow.
Add 35%.
Yeah. I mean, like how the teams that were leaving at the time because of that. I personally find this contract proposal fascinating.
Okay.
The original proposal for him.
Hey, before you go through this contract, can you remind me how many years he played? Because this contract is for 5 years?
It was a 5-year deal. He played until 2000, which it's kind of hard to believe that So the original contract was a 5-year deal. He was making $6 million a year, which is what he was making after he won the Cup in New York.
Okay.
So I think with his getting up there in age, his point production going down. It was even though making the same amount, it was a raise because he might not make that everywhere else. And you got to remember, this is 1997 when $6 million a year U.S. is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's up there with like a Matt Sundin $10 million a year deal.
You can get a condo in Vancouver.
Yeah, you can
Today.
And there's like he was getting $2 million a year signing bonus. And that all went into some sort of funding, or what were you saying? He was getting a stake in Orca Bay.
Well, it says on page
Whale
3 of the
stakes.
handwritten contract that he gets to invest in Orca Bay companies.
Is Orca Bay still a thing?
No.
Okay.
Orca Bay was purchased by the Aquilians, and now it's Canuck Sports and Entertainment.
Oh, okay. Didn't move to Memphis.
No, but John McCaw did try to move the team to Seattle a lot. That was the big rumor.
Right.
And now
A lot.
the Key Arena's not too far away. So he basically was offered a stake in Orca Bay, like as a to play here, which I can't think of. I've never heard of a situation like that before, where you're playing for the team and you're a part owner.
Yeah, but John
Mario
McCaw
Lemieux.
fucked up a lot of things sports-wise in this city.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So that's true. Mario Lemieux was a part owner of the.
Yeah,
he was
he
the
was.
owner. Remember, the team went bankrupt
That's
and they gave
right.
it to him.
But
Yeah.
when did he become owner?
When he was playing like
Yeah,
96-ish.
he was the captain.
Okay, so this was
They actually thought about sewing an O on his jersey instead of like, of course I'm the captain. I'm also the owner.
yeah. Guys, let's not just don't make a mess. All right, I own all this. Just
Yeah,
take
exactly.
it easy.
Yeah.
So-
Every time a guy goes into the board and scratches the glass, it's like, damn, I got to pay for that.
Jeez, you know what that plexiglass is worth? So this was there was a precedent in the league then.
Okay.
So if Mario Lemieux can get that in Pittsburgh, Messier could get that here in Vancouver.
Okay, yeah.
But I mean, why wouldn't he get that
In New York?
or in Edmonton or anywhere? It just
Did
seems
he,
so.
did he eventually get that somewhere?
I don't think so. He has a special kind of, overseer or BS made up title in Edmonton.
Oh, okay.
He never really got involved with the Rangers in some capacity.
Like a Martin Brodeur.
Yeah, well, actually, Marty Brodeur works for the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah.
They kind of pushed him out, which I find very weird. So his deal is it's a 5-year deal. There were some buyout clauses because he was getting up there in age, and
You could buy out his contract in year 3 for $3 million.
Yeah, and he had a handful of provisions and notes, which I love. I just want to go through these one by one. First off, player will reside in the state of Washington. So based on how much it costs to live here, what the taxes were, so you're bringing in this franchise guy, this superstar.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, shit, I'm not going to live in the city.
He wanted a Tortorella clause before it was a Tortorella clause.
Or Tortorella got the Messier clause.
Yeah.
So he's got the Murphy bed in that place.
Gotcha.
This was crossed out, but if the team shall participate in the Stanley Cup finals during the first 3 years of the contract, the 4th season shall be guaranteed. So at this time, at this point, he's joining the team with McGillney and
Bray was still on the team.
Linden, who
Jelena, Kirk McLean was still goaltending.
this team was pretty good on paper.
It was
had
still the
Brett
94
Hedican.
team.
Had Brett Hedican,
Brad Hedican's going to get you to the cup final every day.
and he had
Jason Cullimore.
He had a handful of playoff bonuses, which I imagine are in place. You only really hear about them, what they're worth when they achieve them.
Right.
He could be making $200,000 for going to the Cup or winning the Conn Smythe or winning this and that, which I always find interesting, but standard stuff.
Yeah.
And then here's the notes. Messier demanded he gets insurance coverage. He gets full guaranteed disability in life. I don't know if wouldn't the NHLPA give you that?
Yeah, it's probably been negotiated, and it'd be my guess.
Since then, probably.
Like, yeah, you're talking about like the CBA has probably come so far compared to 1997.
Yeah.
So in this maybe
I would assume that's why there's so many lawsuits now. Is these
Not to
guys
mention-
have their brains rattled and they didn't have any disability coverage.
And that's it. Like head injuries weren't studied and scrutinized the way they are today.
yeah.
Now Eric Lindros gets the best seniors care of all. Just chicken noodle soup every day. Delicious.
Messier demands that he gets a moving allowance post-career. So when he's done, he can move right back to New York and out of Vancouver, out of the Pacific Northwest. I mean, hey, nobody wants to stay here that long, right? Mm-hmm. He's going to get a luxury box and team tickets and parking. Guaranteed in first year, available in later years of contract.
Parking was really smart. He had foresight.
You do realize that in 1997, though everything was just parking lots in the city. It was a nickel to park for a year.
Foresight.
I got a feeling that this town's gonna change.
I get to park every day where Mark Messier negotiated into his contract. Life win
parking
right there.
for life.
If I was Moose, I'd say parking for life. And now this year, he'd be making a killing.
Yeah,
like of all the investments he has down the road, this parking spot outside Rogers Arena.
But here's the thing: there are a couple of asks in here that if he had asked for them for life,
he would be a rich man.
Yeah, because 20 years later, none of us knew.
He has a luxury box and team tickets. I don't know who he's taken to the game. Like, does anybody like Mark Messier?
He was a big deal back then.
Like,
again, he had the shine.
The bald
before
shine.
contract. Yeah.
The bald shine, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, who's coming?
He still had swagger. It was still the 90s.
Do you think he had
He
any
hadn't
friends?
fucked up a team yet.
This is also, we got to keep in mind, like, this is a different world ago.
Yeah.
We're bitter in this market, but still in other hockey markets, he's considered one of the greatest leaders in sport.
Yeah,
was
like
that Joe Montana.
Edmonton and New York will still probably revere him.
Only guy to win the Stanley Cup as captain of two teams, and that's why, hey, let's make it a third.
Yeah, but he came here and he completely tore this team apart.
Ripped it to shreds. He gets accounting. He gets a no trade clause. He gets I love this. He demands a corporate apartment, a 3-bedroom in Vancouver, BC.
Foresight.
Yeah, for up to $3,000 a month. I would just like to say,
do you know what that would cost him? Where would you get a 3-bedroom apartment in Vancouver, please?
Marpole. I pay $1,800 a month for the Pucks and Net studio, which is a 2-bedroom in a piece of shit building falling apart. Like in $3,000 for a 3-bedroom, like Jesus, like Abbotsford. Yeah, he's gonna have to be commuting to that game.
Yeah,
oh my God, we could have been neighbors out in Langley.
Hey Moose, you going to the game today?
Oh, we'll carpool in. Oh wait, there's no HOV lane yet.
Because I got all of 500 square feet.
Yeah, and Moose ain't living here. There's half a bedroom here.
It's a very lovely place, though.
He also demands, this is an interesting one, single room on the road.
That makes sense. He wants to room with McGillney.
You want to sign. He's smoking darts. You want to sign Mark Messier for his leadership and his being a team guy, and and being that leader and that, and and then he goes, but I'm sleeping in my own room. Like, fuck all you guys. I'll see it at the rink. Like, he's already making sure he's removed from the team, in some capacity or another.
He's not winning the King Clancy.
No, and
there's no leadership off the ice.
He's already asking to live in Washington. He's already asking to stay on the road. It's not looking good. He gets travel for Messier management.
Here's the thing. It's fairly obvious. This contract and this move to Vancouver was simply to cash in.
Yeah.
And it was a fuck you. Like, I don't give a shit about this team. And he didn't want to come here and win and get attached to this place.
It's like Jose Canseco going to the Tampa Bay Devil Rays.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I can go there. Whatever.
Is the check going to clear? Yep, I'm there.
All right, whatever. I'll just put the stupid jersey on with the constipated whale. No big deal.
Yeah.
He gets travel for Messier Management International, 2 people for trips. So Messier...
So he has an entourage.
Who's in his entourage?
Because we've already established who wants to be friends with Messier.
That would be Grant Fuhr and your
Craig Anderson.
Yari Curry.
Well, Greg McTavish just retired.
Yeah, so he's leading Messier Management International. What do you think Messier Management International does?
Mom and Dad?
Taste test potato chips.
Yeah.
We got new flavor.
Ketchup.
Poutine.
Oh God, those new flavored chips are awful.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there go. Yeah.
You can taste the chemicals.
My favorite thing. Demand number 9 from Moose is just number 11. Now, first off, could you not make number 11 be demand number 11? Like,
What do you mean?
First of all, yeah,
the number 11 on the list could be number 11. Instead, he's got it at number 9.
Oh, and to be really clever, well, clearly he has no sense of humor.
Yeah, he's sitting there going, whoa, you know.
Yeah.
Messier Management International has no sense of humor.
No.
I mean, like, just
Joke's on him, though. They actually reversed the ones.
it's a backwards 11. He has a
Their eyes.
Capitals.
This is the one where this was the demand or the part of the contract where I realized that the person he had, the best interest in mind were Messier's.
Yeah.
And because you thought that maybe he shows up and he goes, he asks Wayne for those not listening for
Sorry, did he ask for Wayne Manor?
Well, Wayne Mackey, because Canuck fans,
Oh,
non-Canuck
yeah,
fans,
yeah.
in Vancouver, the number 11 was unofficially retired in a Maple Leaf kind of way since the early 70s because a Canucks player named Wayne Mackey, he died of, I believe it's brain cancer. So he passed away, and they unofficially retired 11.
Yep.
And it's only been worn once since then, and that was with Moose.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe he had come here and he said, "Jesus."
There's been a few numbers like that. You just not to ask for it.
Yeah, and in Vancouver right now that are unofficially retired, I'd say 11.
No, that's just because now it's cursed.
Yeah, nobody wants to wear that.
No.
37 for Rick Rippon, probably 38 for Pavel Dimitra.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else. 10 and
What number did Bourdon wear?
10's
28.
retired now.
Yeah, 10's retired. I'd say 28 for Bourdon. Bourdon might be unofficially retired too.
I was going to say nobody wore 10 for a while, but then I feel like Asatikinen wore it.
And Trevor Letowski.
And yeah.
So it wasn't
the Canucks' most famous 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we all know Pavel Bure wore 96. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's no one's wearing 96 these days.
Yeah, well, Bure left the team on a bad note, so I don't think they were doing that much to preserve
Brock Besser
number.
should have worn number 96.
Who should have?
Brock.
Oh.
That
Was
would've
he
been-
born in 96?
I don't even know, but if then
He would have
even better.
96 or 97 because he's 20 or 21.
Oh, that'd be
What's
good.
that
Make
one?
96 great again. Fantastic.
As Geeta looks up what year Brock Besser was born, and we now know. I mean, this is Christmas Day. You're listening. I hope you're having a good time. I hope that. I hope your family's not annoying you. I hope that everybody's getting along. I hope that a younger member of the family has been roped into stirring the gravy, and I hope you're sitting on the couch.
He's a 97 baby.
You can't wear 97.
No.
That's a McJesus-y number.
Oh, he's also a Pisces.
Did you say he's a number 97 baby
No,
or
I
a
said
number 97, comma, and call me baby?
I said he's a 97 baby.
Oh.
No. Sorry.
Rats. I thought you called me baby.
Cold baby,
It was
don't
going to
worry
make my
about it.
Christmas morning.
You're the lump of coal in my stocking. You know that.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, me neither.
So I hope you're having a good Christmas. But
Yeah.
Wayne Mackey's family was not, because Moose came in and he said right away, "I'm wearing number 11." I thought it would. I thought it would have been a situation where when the Atlanta Thrashers moved back to Winnipeg, 9 was retired by the Jets. Now this is where it gets murky because the
Okay.
Winnipeg Jets are in Arizona, where 9 is retired. They took the retired and the respected numbers down to Arizona, but the idea of the Jets did not officially retire 9. So he asked Bobby Hull, "Could I wear number 9?" And he says that's fine. And now 9 is in full circulation in Winnipeg. So I thought that it would be a situation where he maybe contacted the Mackey family and he heard about it. But from what I can gather from this handwritten gimmick,
He's a dick.
he's like, "Fuck that shit. I need to wear 11. That's my brand. That's what Messier Management International wants me to wear." He also had a charity foundation, and this is the interesting thing. It says marketing joint venture, and then marketing was crossed out, which turned into a joint venture, which was, I believe, why he was getting money to become a stakeholder in Orca Bay, which is what the lawsuit that led to. But Cole, you think that marketing joint venture would be?
I think that might be where the Lay's potato chip thing started.
Okay.
Maybe could have been an introduction. That's just my guess, because remember, he was the
Yeah,
bet
that
you can't eat just one guy.
That makes sense.
And that was the first time I remember seeing any NHL player as the face of a brand.
Yeah,
Okay,
joint ventures. Well,
and,
marketing.
and those
like,
Lay's potato chips
he's
commercial,
selling-
he used to be wearing the whale logo
Yeah.
on the jerseys. Like he was coaching kids or something, and they were crunching potato chips while he was drawing on the rink board.
Yeah, because he's been the spokesperson for a few things now.
Well, awkwardly Rogers.
Rogers.
Poor Connor McDavid.
I'm the he's Messier Management International representing Connor McDavid.
Hey Connor, it's Moose.
Hey, where are you?
Sorry to blow up your phone, man.
Hey, where are you?
Called 7 times.
Reject.
Are you the strip club where we'd always be? You should be. That's
Do you know where Geeta is? She won't return my calls either.
I always loved sidetrack. I always loved those Lay's potatoes. Like, I hate Mark. I mean, I don't actually hate. We'll talk about that later. But he's not very likable. But he had that commercial where he's eating chips and the beer league team is playing.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Hey, Matt, he can't. I bet you can't eat just one. And what if I don't? Hey, you got your gear." And he has to play for the team.
Mm-hmm.
And then they goes, "Who are we?" And they all chant the Pylons. Like that's their team name is the Pylons. And they have a pylon on their jersey. And then Mess just starts laughing.
Oh.
So I've always liked that commercial. And I think that was the if I could think of one admirable thing about Mark Messier, it's when he laughs in that commercial.
I will give Moose full credit.
What?
My very first Canuck game was with Moose that season.
Okay.
Garth Snow led in the first shot.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was 98, I guess. But we watched warm-ups
Yeah.
like eager kids do. And Moose couldn't hit water if he was peeing off a boat. I think he took 37 shots on net and he hit 4 people in the stands.
Okay.
And
He's probably hungover.
he came down the tunnel and I'm like, there is absolutely no way this guy is going to sign an autograph because he was warming up horrendously.
Yeah.
And he stopped and signed every single autograph. I still have that. I should have brought it.
In the tunnel for a warm-up?
Yeah, like the pregame skate.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's nice of him.
Yeah, so I'm like,
'Cause you can't
I'm
do
not
that
a big
now.
fan of yours, but I look at that card and I'm like, yep. And fun fact, I got flipped off by Vladimir Sheriff-Ganov the same day. So there was quite the contrast in experience.
Well, it's funny you say that because you're hearing a lot of stories, and I hear a lot of them around the rink now where, Messier had a Kanye West approach to things where
Yeah.
I had friends that worked crew for the Kanye West concert, the Watch the Throne Room with Jay-Z, and there was strict things in the rider like do not make eye contact with these guys. And they'd be racing from one end of Rogers Arena to the other in the bowels on a golf cart, and you had to look down when he was coming by. So I hear this about Messier where he just, I don't know, maybe he just had bad days with some guy, but
Right.
he did not care about anybody that worked there, and he didn't make time for anybody. There's this great photo that came out on Reddit of a kid like 5 or 6 years old, which is so funny to think that he stopped for your autograph, and you have that little bit of a positive memory of him. Then it cut to this guy on Reddit. It's like, oh, here's when I met Mark Messier at this Canucks fan day kind of thing. It's on the bench. Excuse me. It's on the bench with Moose. Messier's wearing a Canucks jersey, and he's wearing sunglasses inside. And he's taking the photo. He's just leaned over, not smiling. He looks like he's sweating out booze.
Right.
And it's like you give that approach, that interaction with that kid, and then it's like so everybody's going to tell you something different. But here's that Lay's potato chip commercial. I just want to play it.
Messier! Hey! Have you tried these new chips?
Chip's a chip.
But these are Lay's! Bet you can't eat just one.
And if I lose,
I get an hour of your time.
New Lay's chips now taste lighter, crispier, and fresher.
Guys, say hello to Mark!
Chip?
Who are we? The Pylons!
Man, that guy speaks like Messier.
Could have been something he ate.
Bet you can't eat just one.
I totally forgotten that.
So good.
Why couldn't he have skated like that when he played for Vancouver?
Because the rest of the teams in the league weren't pylons.
And there's another commercial. He's wearing a full suit and he's got his big ugly helmet on. Anyway, that's the one I remember.
All right.
So
What else have we got on this list?
Well, those are all the demands. So he finally starts playing, and this is where things go downhill quick. Trevor Linden started the season as the captain.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just preseason or what. I can't remember how long into the season. There are photos of him wearing.
That was the season they started in Japan.
No, Japan was 98-99, I'd bet.
That was 97-98.
97-98 because 98 was the Olympics.
Okay, yep.
So it would have been the start of that season.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know when exactly Linden gave up the C, but there are photos. Like I had a hockey card with Linden wearing the Orca jersey with the C on it. And
in Japan.
In Japan. I don't know when.
The no ads on the boards really give it away. Or maybe the boards are in Japanese.
I can't pinpoint when this photo
If you have that card, I'll buy it from you for $10.
10? Okay. I'm going to go out to Abbotsford to go through the old collection.
And you're not allowed to look up the value in a Beckett.
It's probably
All right.
$4.
So we've had the ceremonial handing over of the seat.
Well, it's highly debated.
I don't think it was ceremonial at all.
I'm gonna need that C. I'm gonna need that
Son.
I'm gonna need that bag of chips. I'm gonna need that C, and I'm gonna need Mike Keenan.
And I'm gonna need that stall.
And I'm gonna need somebody to drive me back to Point Roberts because it's a long drive. Massey Tunnel's a fucking mess right now.
And Trevor's like, I'll do it. I'm a great leader off the ice.
I'll drive you to Point Roberts. Yeah, I bet you will.
I'll take my Clancy trophy from the passenger seat and I'll put it in the trunk.
The good guy award. So we asked Kirk McLean. He didn't really give us a good answer, and it's contested. And
we should have rephrased it.
He was so sad
in
at that
such a
point.
way. This is true. I'm like, Kirk, I hope you're not listening, because I'm like, we should have phrased the question so that it actually involved Kirk McLean.
When you were there, what did you see, Kirk McLean, when you saw the C getting ripped out of Trevor's
and
heart?
how did you feel, Kirk?
Yeah, you gotta phrase it about Captain Kirk. So it's been contested that he took the C. For all we know, it could have been a demand on the official contract. He says that Trevor Linden voluntarily gave it up to him. I don't know if that's true. I believe that Trevor
Voluntold?
tell ask. You know what? I could see Trevor Linden being that guy, that team guy, playing on the crest on the front and to the name on the back and giving it up. Mark Messier didn't ask me anything, and one of the
I was going to say it might have been one of those when the jerseys are hung up, the C is no longer on his jersey.
How does that not happen? Yeah, that could be too. You might never know until we ask Trevor Linden on the show. But Messier,
it's great. Trevor's coming in on April.
He's got time on his hands. Mark Messier in the AMA on Twitter, he said that his biggest regret in Vancouver was accepting the captaincy from Trevor Linden.
Right.
So maybe he did. Maybe it was, you don't know the mentality or in what effort he asked for that C. No. The point is, that was Trevor's team.
Yeah.
Enter Mark Messier. He takes it away, and everything changes.
Yeah.
Everything really changed that year because
everything changed by the new year.
Yeah.
You know what you guys need to look up, and you're really good at finding obscure media files. It'll be a deeper dive than what you could do live on the podcast.
Yeah.
Is the radio skit, and it's called Ping. And Sports Talk on CKNW used to play it every Christmas.
Okay.
And it's a guy that gets knocked out in the riots in 94, and he wakes up in 98.
Oh.
And he's like, I can't wait to see the Canucks, take on Mark Messier and the New York Rangers, and it's going to be the first game. And it's like, actually, Mark's here. Oh, okay, well, Trevor Linden's going to lead us to glory, and it's like, he plays for the Islanders. And it's like, as long as Mike Keenan gets what's coming to him, it's like, he's the coach and GM, and the guy goes back into the coma because he can't take it. But it's really well done.
Oh my God, what a horror story. Like, that was our reality 20 years ago.
And if you think about it, it's everything that you loved and romanticized about the Canucks was removed, and everything
you hated.
It's Claude Julien coming to coach instead of AV.
Yeah.
It's Chara stripping the C off of Hank. And it's Daniel getting traded to Arizona. That's the exact equivalent.
Yeah,
but only draft picks in return.
Yeah, no players. Well, actually, they're pretty bad. Those picks would be pretty good. That's not the worst deal I've heard. But yeah, if you think about if you're somebody that did not live those years, and you just remember the Canucks of 2011, that's the equivalent. If it's all these Boston Bruins coming in, and that's why us older jaded Canucks were so nervous when Jim Benning was coming in, because Jim was assistant GM of the Boston Bruins Cup win, and there was some telling signs that he might do that. And then you had the Lucic Derby,
right?
And it was not that they're polar, they're different players, but at the same time, you have the guy that broke the hearts coming in. Let's really put this team on the right track. So if you're wondering why Canucks,
it's like if they brought in Marchand.
Yeah.
That would probably be that tipping point.
But an old, crappier Marchand eating chips.
Bet you can't eat just 26.
Damn it, Benning. Why don't you go after Tyler Seguin?
Actually, that'd be fantastic. Jeez. That would be, who would be a New York Ranger from 94? Who was the defense? Like, isn't Kovalev on that team?
Brian Leetch.
Yeah, but
Brian Leetch would have also been like in his 30s at that point if Vancouver tried to get him.
Yeah.
I'd say
I can't tell you who was. I can't think of who was young at that time. I can only picture like
I was thinking
Adam
Kovalev.
Graves and things like that. Those are the names that are coming up.
Alexei Kovalev was the defenseman for them at the time. It was his second year when he won the Cup.
Okay.
So that'd be the Seguin equivalent, where a younger guy that didn't really stomp on our hearts was traded for and had a long, prosperous career.
Mm.
So that'd be the equivalent.
Okay.
The 97-98 Canucks with Messier. Now, on paper, this team's pretty good. Vancouver
thought, like, us fans thought we were winning the Cup that year.
Well, you have the heartthrobs of the team you love with Alexander McGillney and Mark Messier, and that should be fine.
Pavel Bure, Trevor Linden, they're still there.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Kirk McLean.
Pavel Bure is coming off his injury.
Brett Hedican.
Brett Hedican had maybe just married Christy Yamaguchi. Like, everything was coming up Canucks.
So
Brett Hedican, if you are listening, and I know you are,
obviously,
we need you on this podcast. So how did you feel when the sea got stripped?
Phrase it about the guy, kid. Phrase it about himself.
Bring Kirk back.
Kirk, I got his number. The Canucks finished. So going into it, there was some positivity.
Absolutely.
Canucks finished the year 25, 43, and 14.
Okay.
13th.
Ties were still a thing.
Yeah, 13th in the West. Fun fact. This is another fun fact.
I thought they finished 9th.
13th in the West.
Oh, they finished 9th the season prior.
Yes.
Okay.
Or the season after?
No, the season before. The King Clancy season. The Canucks finished 9th.
Yeah, and that's right. Because I remember I went to see them play the last day of the regular season in Calgary. And both teams had been eliminated.
Right.
And so my dad was given tickets because nobody cared about it.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the standings, and I didn't know how to properly read tiebreaker procedures or whatnot, so I was just doing the math.
Oh, okay.
And I think, like, geez, if they win, they're going to make the playoffs. So, like, midway through the game, my dad had to tell me that, no, the Canucks are not making the playoffs this year.
Battle of the cellar dwellers.
And fun fact, I was up in the Sport Check zone with all the heroin beer. That was my first time up there.
Gotcha.
Just terrified for my life.
Yeah.
Was
that your first game?
No, I'd been to a handful of... Okay. No. My first Canucks game was in 1992. They played the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah.
And I was very young and impressionable, and I assumed that the stadium would be split up like a European soccer match, and that the Jets fans were on one side of the stadium and the Canucks sides were on the Canucks fans were on the other.
Right.
And somehow my dad made me believe that we were in the Jets side, and I was worried that we'd get beat up for being Canuck fans. And then my dad bought me a Canuck Superfan package that cost way too much money. And my mom got so mad at him. And that was my first game.
Memories.
What was your first game?
I think I said 98, 99. Gar Snow led in the first shot.
Oh, right, yeah.
San Jose Sharks. And the only takeaway I had of that is I remember being shocked how quiet the building was when the other team scored. I'm like, how is that not a thing? Like, they just scored and the Sharks just tapped each other on the helmets. They didn't do the junior hockey down the line thing. They acted like grown-ups. And I'm just like, there was no music.
Yeah.
It was like clang.
Well, this is sad.
I'm like, oh. And I don't think we scored.
Geeta, what was your first game?
I believe it was a loss to the Edmonton Oilers.
What year?
Good question. It would have been like 94, 95-ish.
Okay.
Me and Dad took the Sky Train from Vancouver into the city.
Into Vancouver?
Into Vancouver.
Man, the Sky Train. What a treat. Now, not so much.
So in this 97-98 season, Messier didn't have the worst numbers. He put up 22 goals, 60 points.
Yeah.
Pavel Bure led the team, 51 goals, 90 points. That's pretty good. McGillney, 18 goals, 45 points. He missed 31 games because of injury. And Marcus Naslund, fun fact,
number 22.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, was where he might have been wearing 19 at this point.
This was before Marcus Naslund got good.
Yeah, he was that one thing. He was kind of like
he got good under Mike Keenan.
Yeah, he responded well to that negative reinforcement.
Because he got benched and then came back good.
Yeah, it was kind of like Ryan Kessler when he first started, when they went to the playoffs. We're like, okay, well, this, the Sedins and Anson Carter, but oh man, we have this Ryan Kessler kid to be okay. That's what Naslund was.
Right.
So he finished fourth with 34 points.
Yeah.
Pat Quinn was fired. So in this season, everything that we loved was stripped away. From 94. Pat Quinn was fired November of 97. Ew. He did not see eye to eye with management or the new ownership.
Right.
With their Mark Messier first kind of mentality. So he left. Mike Keenan entered. I believe he was fired from St. Louis. That would have made sense. Yeah, he was St. Louis in the mid-90s. Mike Keenan coached 62 games, and he replaced Tom Rennie. This team was really bad. You think the Canucks teams of this past few seasons have not been very good. They lost 10 in a row from the 23rd to October 23rd to November 11th.
Ugh.
You remember that?
I do recall because I used to have one of those Canucks calendars, so I just because we were young, so I'd keep track of their wins and losses.
L. They went winless 10 games, January 7th to the 28th. And this is the really dejecting, sad year because you go into the season and you think this is going to be a good team. It has, on paper, everything should be fine.
Right.
And gone were McLean, two-pad stack, Martin Jelena, the captain Trevor Linden, Gino Ochick, and Dave Babbage. But brought in were
the Jelena-McLean trade was made first.
Oh, right.
Was it not? Yeah, that came first.
And then they traded Jelena.
Dispatched to Carolina. No, both went to Carolina together in a package.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
For Strudwick?
Sean Burke came to Vancouver.
There was a couple of goalies that were traded twice in that season.
So Sean Burke came to Vancouver from Carolina, and McLean went the other way.
That's
Jelena was part of that deal, but I can't remember what other pieces came to Vancouver.
Something weird, probably like Dennis Peterson or something weird. Nobody really remembers.
Right.
Now, you guys are going to laugh, but did Brett Hedeken get traded?
Brett Hedeken did
got
get
traded to Carolina in the Kurt McLean trade.
Oh my God!
I would bet anything on that.
I bet you're right.
He's probably just as sad about being traded as Kirk McLean still is.
Hey Brett, if you're listening, and I know you are, I want to know how it felt to get traded to Carolina.
He'll be here for the May long weekend episode, apparently.
Kirk, how did it feel when Brett got traded?
And the fact that you guys didn't get to wear those lovely Hartford Whalers jerseys.
And then Linden to the Islanders for Bertuzzi and McCabe and something.
Which is a pretty good deal.
That was a good deal. The way, what it's set up in Vancouver.
And back in the day, though, you didn't know that Bertuzzi was a big deal. McCabe was actually the piece of that trade.
Yeah, and there was potential. And when I like that Trevor Linden went to... he went to the Islanders and they made him captain. There was a big ceremony, and I remember being in grade 4, maybe.
Then the Canucks didn't have a single player on Team Canada in the Olympics that year because they traded him away.
That's true, yeah.
That's what I remember.
If only they had Rob Zamner. God, jeez. I was surprised Moose didn't get. That's when I started realizing
because Gretzky did, yeah.
Yeah, but that's when I realized the shine was off Messier when I'm like, why isn't he at the Olympics?
Because they left Gretzky on the bench.
No, but the fact that
Gretzky was on the team.
Yeah, Messier wasn't.
I get that, but if the greatest hockey player to ever play hockey
But
doesn't get into a shootout. Messi
yeah,
is
but
not on the team.
that in itself was one of those funny years because there was a lot of shine on Mark Crawford that year because he was the coach that year.
Hey, he was
and
buzzy.
he had just won the cup with
and that's,
Colorado.
That's exactly it.
Enter Mark Crawford. He replaced Iron Mike in the 98-99 season. We'll just blow through this other year. He coached 37 games and he went 8-20, 8-23. Berkey entered as the GM in the summer of 98.
Right.
So the evil, things were starting to make sense there because we had Brian Burke wheeling and dealing. He traded Pavel Bure.
Right.
Brett Hedican was in the Bure deal.
Oh, okay.
And
to Florida then.
Yeah, and they got Jovo, Dave Gagne, Mike Brown, Kevin Weeks rights, and a first-round pick. And Garth Snow led the team with 20 wins that year. That's how bad it was. Are things as bad now as they were back then?
No, or we're older.
No.
We're older and we don't live and die with this team in that way.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
There is no way that we're as bad now.
So Mark Messier, who came in with all this money, he actually never led the Canucks in scoring any of the years he was here.
He barely played.
He played 3 years. Well, actually, in 98-99, he was injured. He played 59 games.
If you told me Matt Sundin played 3 years, I'd believe that year too.
It felt like an eternity.
He's still playing.
Naslund led the team in 98-99 with 66 points. Mess had 48.
Yeah.
McGillney was also hurt. So injuries were really mounting this year. It seemed like a real bad luck situation. Especially when Bill McCult finished fourth in scoring on the team with 36 points.
Hey, you know what? During this era, Steve Correa had a spot on this team, and Jordan Subban can't make the Vancouver Canucks, which means this team is a lot better than that team was.
That is a great point.
Steve Correa, former Nanaimo Clipper, and for the listeners at home, sorry that I got the Brett Hedican trade wrong.
This is the most Brett Hedican's ever been spoken about.
Oh, for sure.
Ever.
He actually joined the Caniacs in the 01-02 season and happened to win a Stanley Cup.
Oh, good for him.
Good job.
Maybe he can bring his ring.
Oh, it'd be heavy.
It's going to be diamonds.
And finally, Messier's last year in Vancouver, he finished third in scoring with a measly 54 points, and he only played 66 games, so he dealt with injuries. That's what Bo Horvat practically got leading the team in scoring last year, so things were not good. But there was signs of positivity with Naslund leading first.
Yeah.
In the summer of 2000, he finished the year with 65 points, 27 goals, and Andrew Castles was second with 62 points, and Burt was fourth with, I should look at that before I go away, 50 points. And then that was the deal. McGillney was traded for Morrison and Pettersson, and Sedin was drafted. So a pause,
yeah, exactly.
Were you reacting to Monday Night Football?
I was reacting to Monday Night Football. I need Atlanta to lose for some odd reason.
So we'll wrap up this podcast with anybody have any closing remarks on Mark Messier's time as a Canuck?
You know what? If he didn't come to Vancouver and it wasn't such a shitstorm, there's a lot of players that Vancouver would not have, a lot of pieces that, are a huge part of this history. And there's a lot of players that emerged under this era.
If they didn't get Mark Messier, they could have had that, and if there wasn't this rift and this divide and this, even though they weren't supposed to be bad, you could have had the Canucks being finishing 9th or 10th overall for 5 years like the Flames would, and have not have the Sedins, not have Todd Bertuzzi, not have Brendan Morrison, and you would just have a core of 94 guys just getting older and older.
That's exactly it. You just have Trevor Linden here play his entire career out.
You'd have Ryan Smith in Trevor Linden.
Trevor cries less.
Yeah.
To me, the biggest takeaway of Messier is the fact that we got the Sedins because of him.
Yeah. And Trevor Linden came back. For nothing.
He did come back.
And he was a great influence.
No, but someone like a Naslund emerged under this.
Yeah, and if you can succeed in such dismal conditions
and have your number retired.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. I find it just fascinating.
He got his number retired in Vancouver. Messier didn't.
Well, it was already retired.
It was unofficially retired. No one should be wearing 11. Okay, so
Yeah.
speaking of number 11,
Okay.
I need you guys' or your guys' opinion.
Yeah.
My dad's number was 11.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Playing hockey.
Okay.
He wants to go the Renner custom jersey number.
Jersey
route.
foul number 1. Okay.
Yeah.
With 11.
Is he,
No.
Yeah, is he allowed to get 11?
No. Wayne Mackey's parents would be pissed.
Yeah.
There's just so much negativity attached to that number.
Give him 14.
Yeah.
Give him 97.
Yeah, no, he wants it. I don't even think he remembers the Mackey unofficial jersey retirement.
Send him this episode.
Yeah.
If he says, "Where's my 11?" You say,
Here's the thing. We've just spent the last hour talking about the significance of that number. If it does not have any effect on your dad, give him what he wants.
Yeah.
No,
your
he's
dad's Mark
a,
Messier.
No, he's a traditionalist. I just needed your guys' opinion.
I think he would like it if you said, "I can't give you 11."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like I
And
would
give him the explanation for it.
Give him 12.
10. Ooh, we don't.
Give him 9. Nobody likes Tony Tanti. Like, well, I forget. I was at a.
I associate that with Russ Courtnall.
Oh, the Courtnall brothers.
So
That's another podcast.
I personally am not very emotionally scorned by Mark Messier, and
That's because you didn't live here.
I lived in Calgary, and I wasn't the biggest Canucks fan at the time, and so I don't have this childhood blind rage
no,
of.
it's very scorched in me because I lived here between 94 and
Yeah, of course.
2000 and whatever.
And I'm like, quit crying. What's the big deal? The moose was loose for a bit, and now he's gone.
I know, Messier and Brian Leach, fuck, the goalie's name can't even.
Mike Richter.
Mike Richter. Those actually bring out a little bit of rage.
That's great. I think we'll wrap up this special podcast here. I hope you enjoy. I mean, if you're still listening over Christmas, I hope you have a pleasant day.
Yeah.
I hope your drunk uncle doesn't say anything racist or offensive.
Thanks for sticking with us through another season.
Yeah.
Well, this calendar year.
Yeah.
It's much appreciated.
And we'll thank Cole the Black Ace for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Providing some good insight.
Yeah.
Thank you, Moose, for signing my autograph, and thanks for the twins.
Yeah. So if you want to support the show, make sure you follow us on Twitter at PucksNetCA or PucksNetCa. And if you want to support the show monetarily, you can and hear that this episode came out a week before on patreon.com/pucksonnet. You can pledge a couple of bucks, hear broads on net, hear 5 minutes are paying, hear bonus episodes. And if you really want to support the show, but you don't want to give us any money, you can just go on. If you listen to us on iTunes, if you go and rate and review the show on iTunes,
But also tell your friends to listen.
And honestly, yeah, the best way that you can support this show is word of mouth. If you know somebody at your your family gathering right now that likes hockey and might like the podcast, tell them about it. A tweet sometimes goes on deaf ears. A Facebook share might not be very impactful, but if you tell somebody face to face, hey, here's a really good show, or here's an okay show that you might like, check them out and let us know. And let us know if you do that, because that is the best way to grow our audience. And the other way you can help the show, though, is rate and review it on iTunes, because of the horrible Steve Jobs algorithm, which ruins my life on a daily basis. If you go there into the store and leave a 5-star review, write something positive, and leave your name or contact information, chances are we'll read it on the air and probably send you something. And I got my misprinted Pucks on Net mug in time for Christmas. I hear
that thing is awesome.
A lot of merch has come in time for the Christmas season.
This is true. I got my Canucks elf on the shelf.
It tis the season.
Do you want to tell everybody what I named him?
Oh, this is great, and it ties into mess. What's the name of your Canucks elf on a shelf?
Elf Samuelson.
Nice.
So we'll leave you on that Elf Samuelson note, and we hope you enjoyed this literal lump of coal in your Christmas stocking as we discussed Mark Messier as a Canuck for over an hour. And just remember that those bad times are behind us, and so, it's like a forest fire. A lot of, it does better for the environment after the fire. It's more beneficial.
You know what? 20 years removed from that moment.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows how you would have
So
reacted.
you know what? Put on some Aqua Barbie Girl, which also came out at the same time Messier signed in Vancouver. And, reflect fondly.
Yeah, and oh man.
And no need to feel bad for Trevor. He became the president.
Everything just worked out just fine. Hi, everybody.
Move,